You're listening to the B4evaKool podcast. My name is Rex. I have Eli Block here on the show tonight. How you doing, man?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good, man. It's 2024. I'm very excited to have you on the show and to, just to talk about what you have going on. But, one of the biggest part, and we might as well talk about that is this year, the B4evaKool podcast is going to be one of your sponsors for this year. We're very excited about that. I know you're excited as well because obviously the more sponsors you have, the better. Less finances you got to worry about for your season and stuff like that. So I've known you for a while now, and we've talked a bunch in the last year and stuff like that. So it's very exciting to have this going on, man. So well, let's just say welcome to B4evaKool family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to say I appreciate it. Obviously, as you said, you stated it's makes racing a little bit easier when you don't have to worry too much about what's going on behind the scenes when you got awesome people, especially all these people look at these big race teams like even from like NASCAR and F1. That's the main sports, but they have these big companies, but what they don't see is the smaller companies behind the scenes helping out these riders making it to that spot. So I appreciate you, and I'm super happy to be part of the family.
All right, man. Thanks, sir. Likewise. So let's talk about this because you have raced in MotoAmerica, I believe, last year, and I think the year before as well. But this year is a little bit different for you, right?
For sure. I started 2020, and then I've only been able to do 2 rounds. I did 3 rounds in 2021, and I took off a year in 2022 everything was just falling apart. And I almost was about to quit road racing that year, and luckily some things happened where we got back into it. And actually that's what kind of brought me into 2023 is where at the end of the year, I bought a 400 from Mike Skronik and Colin Barton. And yeah, so that created that connection right there. I've known them for a while, but I bought a bike from him, and I asked Colin, hey, I'm not going to be willing to spend the money to buy a whole bunch of new bodywork and graphics, and I'm still going to try doing some MotoAmerica. He's like, your family, you're always been part of the Barcon family. You can represent our stuff. That'd be awesome. And it turned into a huge support system where Colin would help me out for he helped me out for the Loudon Classic, Pittsburgh, and Jersey. So yeah, it turned out, where Classic went really well, top 5 in the Classic, fastest lap of the race. Pittsburgh was a struggle bus, but I came into Jersey thinking...
Not to cut you off a little bit, fastest lap of the race at the Classics. Just talk a little bit about that because, for folks that don't know, the Loudon Classic is part of the Neymar series, and the Classic last year was the first year they had a huge purse, I believe over $250,000. And so you had some national guys you were racing with, right?
Yeah, this is the first time, I think, in 20 years last year where it was back to a professional race. So I think the last year they did was 2002 for AMA.
Oh, wow.
So we went back to a professional race where we brought in the biggest purse in America for road racing, and brought out a whole bunch of heavy hitters. And you could definitely tell when we went into qualifying, there's I think 4 or 5 guys running into the 110s, which is ridiculous. So yeah, it was cool. It was super cool to finally get out there and have some people. It's just more competition. Who doesn't love more competition?
Right.
So
and that must boost your confidence a lot, getting that top 5 finish.
Yeah, it was definitely as I've always looked at it, it's just there are other riders. It's just if I don't believe I'm as good as them, or they're I put them on a pedestal, then it kind of just takes away from, not takes away from me, but also kind of just it's just self-doubt at that point, because you're putting these guys so high where it's like I firmly believe I can be as same as them, if not faster. So
right.
But no, it was awesome to have them come to our home track and figure out the track and see them go through the whole process. And that these guys are super good at learning tracks. They have a whole bunch of experience and they figure it out loud and pretty quick.
Right.
So it was super cool to see that. And, the rain definitely added in a whole bunch of, a little bit of chaos for the race. But I think it was, no matter what, if it was dry or wet, there's going to be red flags. People, it's $250,000. If you're not pushing for $250,000, I don't know what you're doing. So.
Right. Exactly.
But, yeah, I came into after that. I had a whole bunch of confidence. It was it was a good way to start off the year. And then I went to Pittsburgh, and we had a 2-hour endurance.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to get there to test before the race, but scheduling conflicts came up, and I wasn't able to go until the week before. So I drove out there by myself, and I raced the week before. I did the N2 endurance where 2-hour endurance. So I did that.
Mm-hmm.
And, I felt pretty good. We had a whole bunch of MotoAmerica kids were there. We were all pretty much at the same time. So I felt good going into that. And then the next week came around and I don't know what was happening. Everything was just off. And we didn't make one setting change from the week before to MotoAmerica. And everything felt completely different. So, I just couldn't get my head wrapped around that weekend. I think there's just a lot going on. And, no excuse. I just didn't ride to my potential. Right. So I came into Jersey really thinking, I had 2 weeks before we went down there and tested. Luckily it was me and my dad finally. So, me and my dad have worked very well together for the last 6-7 years.
For all your life.
So we created yeah, pretty much. So, we created a setup during that weekend that was just spot on. I felt super comfortable.
Right.
I was also having fun riding my 600 that weekend at Jersey for the first time. So it was just kind of sprinkled in a little fun with it. And I came into Jersey thinking, I had an attitude where I was like, hey, if I don't perform this weekend, this is like do or die for me.
Right.
Like, I'm getting closer to not the end of my career, obviously, but it's like I'm starting to get to the threshold where it's like teams are going to start looking for younger kids. And obviously they should be because, these younger kids are super fast. The kids that are doing the mini cup and the younger kids coming into junior cup. So I came into it thinking, hey, if I want to do something in my life and maybe have a shot at this, then I really got to do something this weekend. So, and that's really, qualifying went really well. We ended up in 5th. Qualifying was super tight. It was like 4 or 5 tenths separating the top 6.
Okay.
So we were all up there, and then the qualifying 2 on Saturday morning came around, and it was downpouring. So, everyone, they're not going to take our times because we're not going to be running faster, but it kind of gives everyone a little sneak peek of who's running fast in the rain.
Right.
And I went out there. So for MotoAmerica, we have to run tire stickers. And so we have to if you use a set of tire stickers, you get only 8 tires for a weekend.
Right.
So if you use a set of stickers on them, that's your tires. So you can't take them off. You can't put them on another one. So the rules are for them for the rain. If it's declared a rain race,
yep,
you don't need them. But a rain session, you do need them. So we didn't know that. So I went out there without them on, and they sent me back to my pit. I had to run. My dad's not there. I'm grabbing towels, trying to wipe down my tire, use brake cleaner, trying to get the thing to stick. Nothing was working. So I lost 10 minutes of that qualifying session. So went back out on track. So we were down to 17 minutes left in the session right as I was going out. And, I just, it takes about 3 laps for the Dunlops to scrub in. And by the second, third lap, I come around and my dad has the pit board out. It's P3. I was like, wow. Just scrubbing in the tires right now. This is okay. I love the rain. So I was I was expecting to do pretty well. I was hoping before the session, I was I should do pretty well. I love the rain,
mm-hmm.
but second lap scrubbing in tires, I shouldn't be that high up. And then I go around for another lap, P2. Then I was okay, tires scrubbed in. Let's go for an actual lap. Come around, do that lap, and then obviously the next lap around, I'll see it. And my dad put out the board. It was P1 plus 3.1
wow.
seconds. I was oh my God. So I that moment, threw up my hand, pulled into the pit lane, and
Catch me if
put
you
my
can.
bike. Yeah, pulled into the pit lane. Had my dad. Yep, just get the stand. Put it on the stand. We're done.
Yeah, nice.
And he just looked at me, and it was just that was just the start of it. I knew it, and I had to carry that confidence. And that weekend, kind of the scheduling for that day on Saturday sucked. They had us at the first practice in the last race of the day.
Oh wow, that's
So that put us.
it's a little
It was a
difficult,
7.5 hour gap.
right? It
Yeah,
must have
so it
helped
was.
a little bit because you were. I don't know if you got to run the R6 that day, but I got to imagine, you got to do things to keep your. Well, you're young enough that your body probably stays in better shape than mine would, but definitely keeping your mind in that space, right, for that period of time.
For sure, yeah, no, that was just the four. It was MotoAmerica was just the 400, so it was just I had that 7.5 hour gap, and I was just, and you can't go out and watch races because you can dry, but I don't want to be soaking wet. Like,
right.
I love the rain, riding in it, not watching in it.
Gotcha.
But so I kind of just sat around all day and waited, and I've never been in my whole entire life. I've never been nervous for a race. I've never had nerves. I've never had anything.
Right.
And that was the closest I've ever been to having something. Because right before that race, because I think I had so much pressure, self pressure, where my self expectation was just like, dude, you just did this in qualifying. Sure, it's been 7 hours. The track may be different, but you got to go out there and do it.
And it was still raining all day, right?
Yep, it rained all day. There was points where it kind of late, like stopped raining as hard, but track was pretty close to the same. So went out there, we did our warm up lap. 3 kids crashed right in front of me. I'm like, all right, this is a string, and then we just sit on the grid, and I knew I had to get the start, and I didn't have like a race plan coming into it. I didn't know what to expect because obviously, some people could make some changes and be the same space or something crazy. But I got a good launch and pulled the whole shot from second row. And from that moment, you could definitely tell I was stiff for the first few laps. I was checking over my shoulder a bit, and I kind of got into the groove of it. And, Avery, Dreyer, and Levy Batty were behind me, and we were running about the same pace. Just, I had maybe like half a second on him, and then Levy crashed trying to run with the pace, and then unfortunately Avery had a pretty big crash. He was okay. The bike just got pretty mangled in the last corner of Jersey.
Wow.
He just had a weird crash, and from that moment, it was me and Avery first and second, but from that moment we had 24 seconds on third.
Oh wow, okay.
So
you're really on go.
Oh, me and Avery were, I was just running pretty chill crew. Like, I was about a second and a half slower than we were in qualifying that morning, but it was still a pretty fast pace. We were 3 seconds a lap faster than third place. So we were just running a good pace, and then Avery crashed, which left me with a 27-second lead over second place. Right. And unfortunately, Renee crashed and caused a red flag on lap 6. So it kind of put me in a weird spot where it's like, okay, did the race just end? Like, we have a red flag. Can I celebrate right now? Like, can I start crying now, or can I start crying later? Right. What am I doing? So I found out as I was going into pit lane, coming like about when they pointed me into Park for May, I was like, that's when everything just it was just real. Right. It's like I've been waiting so long for this moment, and everything hit me at that moment. But I didn't get the cool down lap. I didn't get a checkered flag. I didn't get anything cool like that for my first ever win. Right. I had to find out when I was pulling in to see, hey, do I have to restart and do this all over again, or are we done?
Right.
So
and that's to feel a little weird, right? Because you're unsure what's going on. You still want that adrenaline going just in case you got to go back out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and was it right when you got into pit that you found out that you won, or?
It was about 20 feet before the pit lane break at Jersey, where you're either turning into the pits or you're going back to my pit stall, which was down the start straight. Yeah. So when I saw Um, it was Spencer Humphreys. Once I saw him celebrating, and I look and I see the MotoAmerica official pointing us in, and I was like, no way.
Nice.
This is, and just, you can see in the video, there's a video of it. I just dropped my right hand on the throttle, just let the thing on the rev limiter all the way in. I was like, it's just that moment. It's funny because I look back, I look so stupid, but at that moment, I'm like, I'm going down the whole straightaway. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done?
Right.
And then the moment hit, and I was like, this is cool. But there was that part of me that it wasn't satisfying enough because I didn't get that checkered flag.
Right. And it's tricky.
So
right? Because, now you also have to race the following day again, right? So it's kind of one of those things too, where it's not like you get to celebrate the rest of the night and you're just done and you just wake up tomorrow and pack up and go home. It's kind of like, okay, I can only celebrate a little bit. So even that is kind of, tempered a little bit, right?
For sure. And especially because that weekend was my 21st birthday on that Friday. So it's like, to go to Texas Roadhouse, and I'll just get one drink.
Yeah.
Like, keep it simple, and then we'll move on for the next day.
Right.
And that's all we did. We just, I got to celebrate with all my friends there. They were all down at the podium with me, and it's cool for that.
Right.
Got to
and
have that moment
too. Not to cut you off, that was a good weekend too, because I believe a lot of folks from Loudon came down that weekend. Came down to watch the races that weekend too.
There were a lot of them. The whole entire a good amount of the family was down there cheering us on, having fun. It was cool that, I feel like for like not. I don't know. I look at it in a weird way, but like Eric Wood has always been down there, and Eric was down there supporting all of his, all the kids that came through Loudon. And,
right.
If you look at what he's done, we all came through the Penguin Road Racing School. No matter if you're a Penguin mentor kid or not,
Correct.
We all went through his school.
Exactly.
So, he has some part of our career. And it's, as he's made posts before, he's like, he's got three kids that came from his school that have won on a national level now.
Wow.
And it's just cool to see that, Eric is there. I had a whole bunch of my friends down there, and, my best friend Nate was down there, his dad, Mike, and they were helping out that weekend. It was a huge help just to have our hometown family there. It makes it that much more simple. They might not do anything huge, even if it's just carrying things down to the pit, but it's like, them being there makes a world of difference for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's like when you show up to a place by yourself, you're by yourself. But even if you're not close to other people, but they're from the same track as you, it's like conversation starts from that, and all of a sudden by the end of the weekend, you're really cool with these people. So it's definitely always nicer to have friends and families in the community at a race. And so now, how was Sunday for you as well? Because you had to get back up. We'll get back out on Sunday? Kind of the same deal. First practice, last race of the day again.
Actually, luckily, we had the complete opposite. We were the last warm-up session, first race of the day, so we had like an hour gap.
Gotcha.
So that was pretty cool. So I went out for warm-up, and I knew I was just luckily from the fact that I've learned out loud, and like everyone. I see a whole bunch of these people going out there changing, putting new tires on for rains. I'm like, I don't really need them. You just gotta do the whole scrubbing process again. Just a pain in the ass.
Right.
That was a lot of extra work for me. I just went out there and did 3-4 laps, and luckily I was able to. I think I was first in the session by 2.1 seconds or something.
Okay.
And just kept on building on the confidence. I came out there knowing what I had to do. Because sure, I got to celebrate the day before, but I still wasn't happy. I still was not happy with it because of that fact that I didn't get a checkered flag.
Right.
I didn't get to see that. I didn't get to, celebrate for a cool down lap and know I won.
Right. So
I got to go around the track saying, "Oh, guys, did I win? No? All right, cool. You don't know either." Well,
like, I don't want my first memory.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? If I'm going to have to do something, I'm going to have to at least win another one so I can really get the feeling this weekend.
Right.
And went out there. I didn't get to start like the day before, But, I was like probably fourth in turn one, picked off, I think, Max Van into turn two, got Levy Batty into turn four, and then I got past Rossi Moore out of turn six. So, I chopped my way through on the first lap, but opened up a little bit of a gap. It was probably about a 2-second gap, and Yandel Medina was right behind me. And me, Yandel, have a little history. Nothing crazy. We've gotten over it. It was a lot when we were younger.
Gotcha.
But me, him, and Levy had some history from 2 weeks before at the CCS round. So, we kind of were a little sore coming into the weekend, but, I didn't think about it during the race, but I know for sure I didn't want them beating me.
Right.
There was some stuff that went down, and I was like, hey, that don't matter anymore, but I know you two ain't going to beat me. Right. If there's going to be anyone that beats me, it's not going to be you two. So I had that in the back of my head, and I just kept pushing.
It'd be like that sometimes, and it could be the smallest, things happen. I don't know what the situation with you guys are, but things happen on a track, and somebody might run wide or do something weird, and it's like, the next race or whatever the case may be, you kind of feel a way about it, and it's just kind of like, I got to beat this person. I just have to do that,
Well, yeah, it was, it turned out Yandel didn't really have a big problem with it. He kind of just, what someone else did, put me into a situation with him that wasn't right,
I got you.
Some guy fourth gear punted me into turn one and bent my swing arm and pushed me off track. And then I came on track right behind Yandel, and Yandel, unfortunately, high side right in front of me and collected me. So it went from, leading, then not leading, and then not even finishing the race in one lap. So I was like, so, stuff happens. It's part of racing.
It's part of racing, man. Trust me. That's happened to me at Jersey too, and exhaust and all type of things sideways after being, rear-ended. So it definitely is not fun, but it is all, and you do have to leave it on the track, right? So
yeah. So sadly, I didn't leave it on track, but I brought it outside of it. But that was my fault. Live and learn.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So then that race, because I came in, and as the commentators were saying, I won by 27 seconds the day before, and that was if and they were talking about with me after the race, like, dude, if we do the math and we could keep on doing the math, if you guys did 6 laps, you had another 4 laps to go. And if you do 4 times 3, that's another 12. Wow. So you would have had another 12 seconds on top of your 27. And I was like, hey, I'm not going to be thinking about that for tomorrow. Like, we'll see how the race goes. And the track was completely opposite. It was almost about, I'll say, a 66% dry track.
Okay.
So it was mainly dry. There was a dry line around the track, and there weren't any puddles. There was just damp on the outside. So we were, the pace was completely different. We got down to probably 5 seconds a lap faster than the day before.
So sorry not to cut you off, but at this point, did you go to slicks or did you stick with reins?
I stick with reins. I stuck with the same reins. Yeah. So I ran the same tires from qualifying 2 to race 1 to morning warm up to race 2.
Wow.
I kept the same tires on all day.
Wow.
Or both days. So that was, I think just for me, it was like, there's no point. I talked to Tony Roma, the head of Dunlop, and I had him come over. I was like, hey, what do you think? He's like, I mean, that's all up to you, but, I don't see any problems. And I was like, yeah, that's why I have you over here. I don't think there's any problem with it. He's like, yeah, just run it.
Wow.
So, yeah, and it was, that race was just, I was being super smart about it. I wasn't doing anything outrageous. I was looking at my pit board every single lap coming down the front straightaway, and looked over and saw that the gap was like 2.1 seconds. And I was like, okay, cool. I'm comfortable with 2 seconds. Then it got down to like 1.2 seconds. I was like, okay, now it's time to go. So I started I didn't drop 2 seconds a lap instantly right there. I would incrementally start pushing. I think it was probably if I look back at my lap time, it's like a second lap we started dropping.
Gotcha.
And then we stayed at that. Once we got down to like a 46, we just stayed there. And it just, on the last lap, I pulled out another 2 seconds on Yandel. I think he fell back into the clutches of Levy and Logan. And that was a good feeling. When I came across out of that last corner, I saw the checkered flag. I was like, I had a quick look over my shoulder. I think it was probably like in 10 to make sure they weren't on me.
Right.
So I could maybe do a little celebration over the line. And, it was cool. It's just being able to go across the finish line and just see it. And I told myself the day before, I was like, this is what you need to do. Yeah. And I can't go out of it. I can't leave this weekend not seeing a checker flag first.
Right. And you're able to do that, man. So you got your first 2 wins in MotoAmerica, and first 2, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
First 2 podiums, first 2 everything.
Wow.
It was just, as I've always said, whether it's injuries or anything, when I do it, I got to do it big.
Right.
So
that's the only way, man. That's the only way. And it's pretty awesome, man. So from that's now led you to where we are right now, I guess. And we'll kind of fast forward a little bit, but I assume some of that finished kind of helped seal the deal for your ride for 2024.
For sure. I was on a team last year called Team ECB/BartCon Racing. So I was on my own team, Team ECB, with support from BartCon Racing. Mm-hmm. So I talked to Colin about probably like 2-3 weeks after the season. I got some opportunity. I got flown out to the Barber Vintage Festival the week after.
Yep.
And I got to ride a prototype bike. So I had some cool opportunities arise from this. But then I called Colin. He's like, hey, what's the plans for next year? Because the whole goal of this was he was trying to step away from racing, mm-hmm. and it was nice where he didn't have to be at the track, and he had a rider there still supporting the brand. And I talked to him, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do a full season of Junior Cup. That'll be awesome. He's like, oh, that's perfect. Like, what team? Like, what are you thinking? I was like, thinking not like I think I'm gonna get rid of the Team ECB part and just be BartCon Racing. He's like, oh, it sounds expensive for me. I was like, yep. So luckily a whole bunch of stuff happened, and I got to I was gonna plan on, even if I was on BartCon Racing, there's 2 rounds where my dad's not able to make it. Right. So I was gonna be pitting with Phil Chapin and Matthew Chapin. In pitting with them and kind of working with them, and that turned into me calling Colin one night after he was at the golf course all day and just hammered, and I was like, oh, I brought this idea. I was like, yeah, we'll talk about it in the morning if you remember. Right, and he called me right at 7:00 in the morning like he said he would.
Okay,
big Irish fan, of course, and this guy's just like, all right, what about this Matthew kid? I'm like, okay, this is happening. So I talked to Matthew and Phil over the whole entire winter, and it just happened from me and them potentially just pitting together, turned into us being teammates.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
So great.
And Matthew's an awesome kid. He's an up-and-coming kid, and he's super fast, and Phil's an awesome guy. So it's cool. We all get along, and, it's going to be, I'll also be doing the N2 Endurance Series with Matthew on the 400s. We'll be doing the 2-hour endurances together.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah, and then actually from the Barber Vintage Festival, I met a guy named Sean at the Pittsburgh 2-hour endurance I did by myself, and I saw him again at the Vintage Festival, and shits and giggles. I was like, "Hey, man, I see your MotoAmerica place," and he's a good rider. I just didn't know he did MotoAmerica before. I was like, "Cool."
Yeah.
And I asked him. He's like, "Yeah, I've tried qualifying for the 200 for the last few years." I was like, "What if a kid wants to do it?" He's like, "You want to do it?" I was like, "Dude, I've dreamed of doing it." He's like, "Let's do it."
Oh, wow.
And that has turned into a unreal situation where it's like, I've been down, usually during the winter, I'll go down to Florida for like 5 days and ride. Right. And that's the most I'll do during the winter. This year, I've spent probably over, in total, 6 or 7 weeks in Florida.
Hey, that's
where,
so you've been doing a lot of riding.
Oh, yeah. I was there for a month straight. coaching and riding every single day, whether it was like doing my own training or, riding with a whole bunch of my friends or coaching some kids. And, that was super cool. And then I went down, I've tested the Triumph that I'm racing about 3 times already.
Okay.
And I'm going back down in another 2 weeks, right before Daytona to test.
Yep.
I just got back from testing this weekend and racing. So, everything kind of just worked out pretty well, and it's been pretty cool. We had just had a really good test at Roebling. This dropped down to a 13.1 down at Roebling on the Triumph, and just feeling really good on the bike. So everything's coming out and working out pretty well. And, we'll start off the season at Daytona, and then in April, we start off our full MotoAmerica season in Road Atlanta. So just going to have a super busy schedule between full MotoAmerica season, doing most of the Niemer series, as well as racing the Loudon Classic again this year. And, racing a little bit more ARMA and the full N2 endurance schedule. It's just,
wow. So
it's super crazy. Yeah, it's almost every weekend.
Hey, listen, man, that's not a bad way to be. I'm not as fast as you, but in 21, I think I did like 21 rounds of racing between.
I remember that.
Yeah, and that was like I still would love to get back to. I'm probably around like 10 rounds now or something like that. But no, like when you can, every other week you just hitting the road and going racing. Obviously, you want to be healthy and all that stuff, but that's nice. So for you to be doing all this racing this year, man, I'm excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, last year I ended off the year. I think we did the math. I was away 30 weekends last year, and I had a stretch where it was 17 weekends in a row.
Wow.
Where I was gone every weekend, whether it's woods racing, riding moto on the weekend, or going doing road racing. It was something.
Right. And
so
in a situation like that where you're that busy now, do you just? I mean, you're just racing every weekend. So, because like for me, like I wasn't training as much, but I wasn't racing every weekend. But I wasn't getting enough time to get back in the gym and work out and stuff like that. Now, how do you find that you did after doing that many weekends in a row, and then kind of like what's your plan for this year if you found it was an issue, or you were like, oh, it's no big deal, I can just race every day like Quattro Hora.
That's, I hate saying it, but it's just that's pretty much it. I don't train. I mean, I'll train my riding. There's no better training than riding.
Right.
There's no, nothing will prepare you for a bike as well as riding a bike.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
So, whether that's, I was doing days down in Florida where I was on my Ninja 400 on the kart track, and that was a workout. Just been, the riding has just been preparing me training wise. And, I did get back on the bicycle for a little bit. Just, I don't know what it was. I had some motivation for for the last month to get back on the bicycle and just have some fun with it.
Right.
And, because I can't really be doing too much woods riding anymore and can't risk getting hurt with that.
Right.
Because, I do when I race, I used to race a whole bunch of woods last year, and it would be great because, I get a whole bunch of endurance out of it and I'll be loving it. But it's also a really good chance of, it might not be me. Well, most of the times it was me, but it could be someone else. But, but now we head down, not this weekend, but the weekend after. We're leaving on Saturday. We're going to drive straight down to Roebling.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Dunlop test Monday, Tuesday.
Okay.
So I'll ride the Triumph one of the days, and I might bring down my R6 for the other.
Okay.
We're still debating on that because we don't know if it's going to mess me up or anything. But because I just made the switch to Dunlop tires for everything on the big bikes, local and at MotoAmerica. So, it doesn't hurt to get down there on my race bike, and it doesn't compare up here, but at least I have some time on the tires.
Right.
So
exactly.
we're gonna be there Monday, Tuesday. We'll get down there. Don't get me wrong, I'm super excited for Daytona, but I'm also really looking forward to get back on the golf course. That's my home away from home.
Gotcha.
I spend close to, like, in the summer, I'll spend close to 4 to 5 days a week on the golf course.
Wow.
So Yeah, I love it. It's
Mm,
always been something I've been into. Growing up, I've always been around it.
yep.
So I got really into it about 2, 3 years ago, and ever since it's just been somewhere I can just kind of clear my head. And as I've explained to other people, everyone's like, "Why do you golf? That you're a racer?" Like, dude, everything in my life is so fast.
Right.
Racing, everything. A weekend, you're so excited for a weekend. Everything goes into a weekend, and then it feels like it's over in a blink of an eye.
Right.
But it's nice where I can go to a place and just have everything slow down, and it teaches you a whole bunch of stuff mentally.
Yes, it
And
does.
you can get a whole bunch of that's where my team owner Colin does a lot of his business meetings, and I've done a few business meetings on it with sponsors, and it's a cool time. You have 4 hours to go have some fun and play with someone, and you know it just teaches you about a lot about life in general. It's just
Right.
not every shot in golf is going to be perfect unless you're pro, and I'm not pro. So
Right.
it teaches you to if you're going to make a mistake, if you keep thinking about that last mistake, then your next shot's going to be the same way. So it's the same thing with racing. If you blow a corner, you carry that into the next one, you're going to be making a whole bunch of mistakes and just connecting into a train.
Right, right. I can see
So
that. I haven't. I played a little bit of golf, but it's something I'm hoping to get more time with and stuff like that. But yeah, no, definitely, it's one of those things that it does teach you patience and just where it's a individual sport. Even though you're on the course with other people, you're still kind of out there by yourself. So it's kind of they're very similar to motorcycle racing and tennis. One of those things that you're on an island by yourself.
for sure. So I'm going down. I'm planning to get down to like the Roebling test a day early so I can go play golf before it. And it's like I'll go down to Daytona and play LPGA, which is a super nice course right next to the track. So
Right.
you know, just trying to just gonna have some fun with the weekend. And I'm super. We got a whole crew coming now, and we're gonna have some fun. And, make the most out of it. And I firmly believe we can run up front. Daytona is one of those races where you don't have to be the fastest. You
Right.
don't need to be. You can be a second off in the infield and still be running up front because you get that draft. And
Right.
so I'm really looking forward to getting there. I've never been to Daytona. I've always, even with my background of being a go-kart racer and a car racer, we always had the pinnacle of, as a little kid watching Daytona Supercross and the 200, and then as a go-karter, I watched the Daytona 500 and then the
Right.
Rolex 24.
Right.
So I've known Daytona, for my whole entire life. I've just never been able to
Oh,
experience it.
you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun.
I can't
It's
wait.
you're gonna have, it's one of those things where because it's not like pit right where you got all those turns or anything like that, right? But it's just for a rider like that, the Outer Banks is just pretty incredible to be on and to see as you going out for the first time and stuff like that. It's a lot bigger than you would think on television and stuff like that. So just from that perspective, and then it's one of the few places that you're going to be flat out on a 600 for, you got some time to think when you, before you get back to the start straight. And the G force that pushes you down coming out of coming out of the outfield. It's crazy back onto the start straight. You can literally just feel it just pushing you down into the ground. So it's pretty impressive.
And that's the thing that's cool and kind of sucks about it is the fact where it's like everyone goes out there and they're like, they're talking to me like, dude, I can't wait to see your face when you come off the bank
Yeah.
for the first time. And it's like, don't get me wrong, it's gonna be cool, but when I'm there for my first practice, I'm there for a job. I'm
Right,
there
right, yeah.
to get something done.
Right.
I'm not gonna be thinking about the banking after the first lap. After the first lap, I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, let's go. We gotta go. We gotta get some stuff done
Right,
now.
right, right. No, that makes
So
complete sense. But
it's
take a
cool.
little bit
I'm
of
super
time to
excited for it.
appreciate it.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm super excited. I've always dreamed of racing Daytona, but it's like also for the factor, it's like I'm kind of not ruining my first experience, but it's like I'm there to do something.
Right.
Sure, it would be really cool to walk away with a Rolex. Obviously
So,
that's everyone's dream.
and so it's different, right? Because like the first time I went to Daytona was 21, so that was one of the first time, and that's when CCS Azra was still doing it. So it was a little different because there was a track day there before the race and all this stuff, so you had more time to get on track. I don't know if it's going to be like that with MotoAmerica because I don't know if there's any track days or anything happening before. You just got to show up the day of and just go to your times.
So Daytona you can only ride 2 times a year. Either you can do in October where you can do the race champions where you have the hammer day on Thursday and then practice, then race Saturday, Sunday, and then MotoAmerica, which is moving days Wednesday, and then first practice and qualifying's on Thursday.
Gotcha.
So I'll have 30 minutes of practice and that's all.
Wow. Pretty impressive. Have you played the ride game at all? The Daytona track is on the ride game.
I do iRacing, so
Okay.
everything's 3D scanned.
Yeah, nice.
I've done that for a whole bunch of tracks, and Daytona's pretty simple. Where I know like the back of my hand. I've always, I've spun probably close to 10,000+ laps on that track just in general on simulators in my life, and it's always been. If you get bored, just go out and do Daytona.
Yeah.
So it's like something, it's always just that pinnacle of the track, like where it's like, oh, you're bored? All right, just go do Daytona. You can't get bored of that.
Right.
So, I think it's going to be pretty, don't get me wrong. I'm super excited, but I think it's going to be very simple. It seems very simple. It seems like, the infield's super, super self-explanatory. And then the banking itself, I've studied it enough, and I have ability to watch races, past races, and watch things and just understand what to do instantly from watching it. And I know I can examine a bike and watch where they turn down on the banking for a reason. I can see where the RPM is best and where it's not. So I'll have after I think. Everything will hit me when I do a track walk. When I do a track walk, obviously I'm going to try running up the banking. But, my dad was just talking about that because at Daytona, you obviously have your main entrance on the tunnel, but they can't bring the camper and trailer through the tunnel, so they bring you on the track and you have to do a lap around the whole entire track so you can get into the pits.
Gotcha.
So he was talking about, all I need is 70 miles per hour, and that camper's going to be on the bank. So, there's going to be a news flash where a camper and trailer's upside down at Daytona.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, put all the weight on one side. No, I'm excited for you, man. It's pretty awesome, and I know I've had you on. We've been on for a little bit now, so I don't want to hold you up too much longer. So you're pretty much we're going to be talking because I know you're going to be coming on often. I believe after every race weekend and stuff like that, just getting caught up and stuff like that. So looking forward to all that. But let's have you shout out your sponsors and to let people know how they can find you on social media and stuff like that. And we'll definitely figure out the dates off air with that, and we'll get those ahead of time so people know to tune in and listen to catch up on what's going on in racing for you.
For sure, put me on the spot with these new sponsors. I gotta remember.
You can send them to me, and we'll pop them up.
It's all good. First of all, I want to thank you again for supporting me, and first sponsor of B4evaKool podcast. Super excited to have this new partnership and continue this on, and my whole Barcon Racing, Built by Block, Dunlop Racing, KYT helmets, Anthem leathers, Behringer brakes, Alpha Omega. Now I have to remember. This is the hard part.
The list goes on.
The list does go on, and I appreciate every single one of my sponsors that that have helped me from the first race I've ever done to continue on. And obviously Motor Race has been a huge sponsor of mine, and as some people know, Stowe is retiring, so
I did not know that. Is he retiring at end of this year coming up, or he already retired?
No, he just retired. So that's why I just made this. We had this switch to Dunlop tires this year. So, I just every time I get an opportunity, I just so shout him out because without him, I wouldn't be where I am.
Right, right. No, he's
So,
a definitely a good
you know,
guy. I came to the track and met him there, and he was already, not to say he should have been retired then, but I met him, when he was on his way out, and I know I know he's been in the community for, I probably even over 50 years or something like that, ridiculous like
yeah,
that. So, it's, so, everyone's story is always amazing, and that's the cool thing about, for me getting the opportunity to come to tracks and meeting some of these guys and gals and see their stories and their commitment to riders, right? Because it doesn't matter, who you are as a rider. You kind of, they treat you all the same, and they just want to help you out and try to make you be the best version of yourself, whatever, product they're selling or they're putting on the bike for you.
for sure. Um, REB Graphics, Karen Media, or Karen Racing. And that's a new sponsor for us this year. Um, just a whole bunch of people. I think I said Behringer Brakes before, but I just want to make sure. And
Right.
you know, I'm gonna try memorizing my new list, so stuff like this doesn't happen. But everyone that has supported me, I just appreciate each and every one of you. And yeah, thank you again for having me on here. And I'm excited to have this partnership and do this after every single round. It's gonna be some fun.
Thanks, man. Best of luck, Eli.
Thank you.